I just wanted to say, man, the times they are a changing, and they're changing for the better, in my opinion, when it comes to boxing. Mainly when it comes to boxing, um, because I don't know if you guys seen. I'm pretty sure you have seen it. If you like boxing, you've seen the ring awards, and and we saw a lot of people coming together, to make fights happen. Turkey Alex Sheik, of course, the main guy making these things happening. He took a lot of pictures with Canelo Alvarez, probably the most pictures I've seen him take with any fighter. Um, that I've personally seen. Maybe it's just because it's recent, but I mean, Canelo took a picture with Turkey and Shakur, Canelo and Teofimo and Ryan. Then there was one with there's just so many pictures, with him and other guys. Then there's one group picture as well. The one thing I noticed though is that Canelo Alvarez is a little guy. That's what I noticed. Just looking at him standing next to all of these other fighters that are supposed to be lower weight classes than him, and they're about the same size as him, if not even smaller. And that's what got to me. I was just looking at that and I'm like, this is the guy people are making a big deal about. And listen, I love Canelo, right? I love the way he fights. Well, recently not so much as I used to. I used to like more his older fights, like when he was in lower weight class. I mean, yeah, lower weight classes. Now he's a bit more of a stalker type of fighter. Which is fine, but I did used to like his older fights where he was more, he had more head movement, more footwork. I know a lot of people think that he doesn't have that, but he does, or he used to. Yeah, I just started thinking about it. I started thinking about how much weight Canelo has put on through the years, and how much smaller he is than the fighters that he's beaten in the last couple of years. I don't know, dude. It seems like a lot of the people that call him out even know this. They know that Canelo Alvarez is really good, and he's fighting above his weight class, like way above his weight class. And they're trying to act like he's bigger than he is, and then jump on him, beat him, and act like they did a big deal. And did they or did they not? In my opinion, it's like this. To me, this is what it looks like. Okay, there's a guy who's chopping down a big tree, and this guy, he's not built like that big or whatever. He's just a little guy, and he's chopping down this tree, bah, 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 bah. But the tree is not coming down, but he's chopped at that tree so long, right, that anybody could just come and chop it once and get the credit for chopping down that big tree. And by the way, this is life, right? This is pretty much the way the cookie crumbles in everything, not just in boxing or in this metaphor that I'm using. And everybody's trying to jump at the guy. Oh, it's my turn. It's my turn. No, it's my turn. No, it's my turn. Because they know that if they get that lucky shot, that tree is going to come right down. Boom. And they're going to get the credit for it. But the main guy that's been chopping at that wood has been Canelo. He's been up there fighting these giants, dropping these guys that have no business being dropped by a guy that's so little, bro. Look at some of these pictures, bro. You know what I mean? Look at some of these pictures. I mean, Usyk obviously is bigger than him. Look, he looks like a little kid, bro, next to some of these people. Look at Shakur's big ass head, bro. Look at his frame next to Canelo's, bro. Like, but guess what? The fight's probably gonna happen, right? Because from what I'm hearing, you know, rumors is that Crawford versus Canelo is gonna happen this year. Maybe it'll be next, or maybe it'll be towards the end of the year. Meaning they're both gonna have one more fight, and then they'll face each other. I also hear that Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo might be next. And then after it'll be Devin Haney versus what's his face? Ryan, the rematch. Which, by the way, I don't really want to see it unless Ryan has another fight in between, because that'll let us see, you know, kind of where Ryan's at and kind of where Devin is at, and if that fight's even worth, you know, a rematch. But I think that would be the best case scenario. Now, when it comes to Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, I think, I don't know, just make it happen. I mean, what else is Canelo gonna do? Listen, Canelo, what he wants in his heart of hearts. I don't know what I was gonna say there, but in his heart of hearts, what he really wants, in my opinion, is a fight versus either Bebo or Beterbiev. You know, and to be honest, he would even try to take on Usyk if he could. All right, and listen, I promise you, Canelo thinks that way. He wants big challenges, and he wants to fight big guys. And there's two reasons for that. Number one is he's better against big guys. He's just better. Okay, and that I know that type of fighter. No, I'm not gonna say I'm that type of fighter, because I'm not. But there is certain type of fighters that are like that. You know, they're just better against bigger guys. You know, one of the guys that was kind of like that was Mike Tyson. You know, and he's just better against bigger guys. It's easier to fight against them, and he has trouble with guys that are smaller than him. Oscar De La Hoya was actually like that. He had a very hard time with smaller fighters. He just can't hit them, and it's hard for him to beat them up. And they get kind of nervous, and they get kind of anxious, you know, when they face smaller guys. And that brings me to my next point. How possible is it for Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez? The thing about it is this: Terence Crawford is not that small. That's my thing. It's like, if it was like Mayweather, then I'd be like, okay, because Mayweather is a small guy. Mayweather is a small dude. You know, and Mayweather is one of the few fighters in the history of boxing. Also Canelo is another one. These are the guys that I put in this category. This category is, I'm gonna call this category fighters that punch up. Okay, fighters that punch up, or fighters that are good regardless of their weight. And Duran is one of them. Floyd Mayweather is another one, and Canelo is another one. These are true pound for pounds. From my perspective, these are true pound for pounds. Why? Because these fighters punch up, meaning they, through their whole career, have been punching and whooping ass against fighters that were 10 times heavier than them, or bigger, or taller than them. And their skills were just so good, so great, that they were able to beat fighters that were just giants compared to them. Okay, you look at Duran and the stuff that he did. especially now, you understand how great Duran was. Duran had no business fighting in middleweight, dude. Like, he had no business being there, bro. Yet he stood toe to toe with a lot of these guys. And when he got knocked out by Hearns, when he got knocked out by Hitman, I mean, that's the same guy, Hagler. You know, when he got beat up by these guys, it's like, bro, like, people still loved him. You know why? Because the guy had been punching up his whole life, dude. Okay? Now, I'm not putting Terrence Crawford in that list because Terrence Crawford is not that. Terrence Crawford is the opposite. And the reason you're going to find this out is when they face each other. You're going to realize that, yes, Canelo has a big back, right? He has a very muscular back. That's where most of his power comes from, is from his big-ass back. You know, pause. But he has an enormous, like, almost hunchback type of back that he has. You know, and that's why he's able to punch up, because he just has a lot of muscles in his back. And you look at his lat muscles and the inside of his lat muscles, which is a big part of a puncher's power comes from. You look at that in Canelo, it's huge. And that's why people, when they look at him, they're like, you know, this is a big guy. But he's not, bro. He's not. You know, that's him in fight season. That's him in fight mode. But just him regular, bro, you look at him, he doesn't even look as big as Shakur. He looks just around the same height and size as Shakur. You know, and I don't know. I when I start thinking about it, you know, you start to realize that there's very few fighters that have the ability to do that. And it is an ability. You know, they try to minimize Canelo's accomplishments by saying that it's just that he's strong and he's big. But none of those things are real. He's not big and he's not that strong because he's not knocking people out that much anymore. He's knocking them down by catching them off guard and by wearing them down to the body, an accumulation of strategic punches in a 12-round fight. That's how he's doing it. Look at a good example is the Berlanga fight. Berlanga was trying to keep it tight. He was trying to, you know, jab. He was trying to outbox Canelo. And Canelo said, oh, okay, fine. He outsmarted him. He knocked him out. And when he was on the floor, he was like, damn, he got me. It wasn't no damn that hurt. It wasn't no damn he's strong. No, it was like, damn, he got me. Why? Because he did. He outsmarted him. I know it's hard for people to believe because he's Mexican and people don't like to say that about Mexicans here in the U.S. Because the narrative is that Mexicans are brutes and that they just punch hard or they take a lot of punches to the head and they continue to move forward, which is what you would say a brute is. But the thing is, you don't jump up that many weight classes by just being stronger than your opponents, bro, because that's not what happens. You're not going to be stronger than somebody who's bigger than you. You know, it works especially if the guy's bigger. He's going to look at you like you're stupid. You're like, okay, now it's my turn. And then what? You know, so Canelo, he's not, the shit he's doing, he's not doing it because he's just strong. And he just takes a lot of punches. Nah, bro, he's catching punches. He's slipping punches. He has very good defense. He's hard to hit. And he knows how to punch. He knows how to set up punches to where towards the end of the fight, you're going to be getting hit like way more than you were getting hit in the beginning of the fight. Because he's setting up all of his shots and he's building upon his combos. So it's definitely skill. So when people say, oh, Terrence Crawford's going to beat him just because of skill and Canelo just has size, bro, you're talking to a guy in Canelo that has moved up like 12 weight classes or something like that. I don't know how many weight classes he's moved up, but it's crazy. It's a crazy amount. And the fact that he's still the same size as Terrence Crawford should let you know which one of these two was punching down and which one of these two has been punching up for years and has been successful. The fights he's lost, he hasn't lost them. Like, listen, when Duran lost the fights that he lost them because he was overpowered and he was caught with shots. Okay, he was caught with power shots by bigger guys that he had no business fighting against. Okay, but Canelo, when he loses by decision against bigger guys, dude. That's what I'm trying for you guys to understand, is how great Canelo is. You know, and how this fight, even though people, the thoughts that people are thinking about this fight are incorrect, in my opinion. So, you thinking that Terrence Crawford is just more skillful and is going to beat Canelo on pure skill, that's not going to happen. Okay, that's not what's gonna happen, because Terrence Crawford, yes, he's skillful, but that's not his main attribute. His switch hitting isn't his main attribute. His main attribute is his unwillingness to lose. It's his unwillingness to let things slide. Okay, to take things with patience. He just doesn't. If you catch him with a couple of jabs, that's not going to go well with Terrence Crawford. He's not going to like that. He got to get his back. And Canelo's not like that. Canelo will let you jab him a little bit. Okay, just cool. He'll catch a couple of them. He'll look at you. He's like, all right, cool. You can hit me here. It's fine. That's fine. And he just proceeds and boom, catches you with a bigger one. And then he looks. How do you feel about that? Okay, let's get you to the body a little bit. Boom. How you feel about that? You like that? Well, guess what? That's not coming. So that's a different type of fighter. Terrence isn't like that. Terrence is more like, you hit me, guess what? I'm coming to hit you. If you hit me one time, I'm coming to hit you 3 times. You hit me 3 times, I'm here to catch you with 50 punches. And it's like, it's a tit for tat for Terrence Crawford. And people don't know that about Terrence Crawford. They think that he's some kind of slick fighter that would rather move and not get touched. He doesn't care that much, because if he cares, but not in the sense to where, oh, I got to defend myself more. No. He cares in the sense that I got to get mine back. You know, so that's different to what people think Terrence Crawford is. You know, so for some reason they're comparing Terrence Crawford to Floyd Mayweather. That Terrence Crawford is some kind of defensive genius. He does have defense, but he gets hit a lot. Like way more than Mayweather. You know, I've never seen him break the record for making the other guy miss, or you know, that doesn't happen with Terrence Crawford. It's happened with Shakur, and it's happened with Devin Haney, and it's happened with Floyd Mayweather. But Terrence Crawford, he's never done that. That's because he's not a primarily defensive fighter, and that's going to hurt him in the fight, because you don't take a punch of a guy who's been fighting giants the same way you take punches from guys who are smaller than you, who are mostly smaller than you. That's what Terrence Crawford has been facing his whole life. I'm sorry to say that, but there's no other way to see it. When you see both of these guys next to each other, and we will, and you see how similar they are to each other, you're going to understand that Terrence Crawford has been punching down. And that is why I don't put him in that list, from my personal list of pound-for-pound greats. I'm sorry to say that, bro, but this is the truth. And that's purely on the eye test. Of course, I do put him on my list. I have him on my top 5, Terrence Crawford. But the reason for that is because of his accomplishments, and they can't be overlooked. Okay, but when I put him next to Mayweather, next to Duran, and next to even Canelo, the fights that Terence Crawford has won has usually been against people that are his size or smaller. Okay, that's just facts. And with Canelo, it's not the same way. With Canelo, most of his fights have been with people that are his size or bigger than him. And he does well against all of them, and sometimes even greater. Okay, that's the difference in my opinion. So we're talking about two different types of fighters. Now, is Terence Crawford a weight bully? I'm not willing to say that yet. But let's just put it this way. He fought Gamboa one time. Gamboa is a midget that's been passed around more than, I don't know, insert a joke there. Madonna, I guess. I don't know. But my point is this. He fought really small guys. And Canelo has fought really small guys too. Well, these are people that called him out, number one. Number two, he was fighting in lower weight classes himself back then. So I'm talking about Amir Khan, right? And so, yeah, but my point is this, guys. This fight is not, and it's not going to be easy for Canelo. That's the other thing I want to say. And the reason is because Terence Crawford is not a small guy. You know, he never has been. He's just been fighting small. Canelo Alvarez, he's been fighting big, and he's just about the same size as Terence Crawford. Okay, and so we're going to see what happens. I think Terence Crawford does have a chance, believe it or not, to beat Canelo. He's a switch hitter. Okay, and I have made a video in the past of how I believe you could beat Terence Crawford. You just have to know when he uses what stance. Okay, and in that video I do explain, like, when he uses the southpaw stance, he's trying to keep you on the outside and he's trying to outbox you. And that's why he uses southpaw stance. When he fights you orthodox, or not necessarily orthodox, but at your own stance, that means that he's not scared of you. Meaning, if you're orthodox, he'll fight you orthodox, or if you're southpaw, he'll fight you southpaw. That means that he's not scared of you, and he's willing to risk getting hit to beat you up. He's willing to trade with you, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So with Canelo, for sure, since Canelo is an orthodox fighter, for sure he's going to approach this fight from a southpaw stance, because he's going to want to keep Canelo on the outside. He's going to want to keep Canelo at bay, and he's going to want to keep turning Canelo and keeping his lead foot on the outside of Canelo's lead foot. Now, of course, Canelo's objective here would have to be to cut off the ring. Do not follow Terence, because if you follow Terence, you will get countered with an uppercut, which is Terence Crawford's favorite punch. You have to cut off the ring and make it to where you gotta punch him to the body, because Terence Crawford has very good chin, so you're gonna have to wear him down to the body and be patient with wearing him down to the body and cut off the ring. Make his lead hand no, which is what you do with most southpaws. Okay, if you do this successfully for about 1 or 2 rounds, he's going to want to switch. If he switches to your own stance, and in this case Canelo is orthodox, and if Terence Crawford switches orthodox, then you have a good chance of knocking him out, especially if you're Canelo. You have a good chance of knocking him out. Just know that the strategy is going to be a little different. It's going to be more of an inside game. If he tries to stay on the outside, I mean, Canelo should know what to do from an orthodox position. So I think if he switches back to orthodox, that means you got him. in my opinion. You know, because now he's just trying shit, basically. And then he'll be able to knock him out then. You know, because from there, I really don't know what else he does. The only thing he does do most of the time, Terrence Crawford, is he's gonna go all out. So once you figure him out on whatever side, then that's when he kind of loses control, and he starts just throwing uppercuts and hooks and going crazy. He's gonna throw haymakers. He's gonna just weather the storm, because when it comes to Terrence Crawford, he's not gonna go out at the beginning and do that. When he's against the wall, that's when he starts to go berserker mode. And most of the people that he's fought, he's been able to hurt and beat when he goes berserker mode. I've seen him do it about 3 or 4 times. Against Spence, Terrence Crawford knew from the get-go that Spence was not going to be able to handle him, so he fought him at his own stance. Everybody knows Spence is a southpaw. And so Terrence Crawford went out there and fought him as a southpaw. Why? Because he knew Spence couldn't hurt him. He knew Spence was unable to beat him. So he said, okay, I'm going to fight you on the inside. And when he fights on the inside, he uses the opponent's own stance. In this case, it was a southpaw. So that's basically what you got to know about Terrence Crawford and how to beat him. When it comes to Canelo, it's a little bit trickier, and you're going to have more than one ability, and you're going to have to know how to read opponents in a way. How can I explain this? So this is how you beat Canelo. Okay. At the beginning of his combos, there has to be something kind of like an attitude or a mode that he has that tells you he's going to punch at a certain point. There's also other attitudes that he has. That's the only way I know how to explain it. It's attitudes. It's spurts that he has. Each spurt may seem, each one of Canelo's spurts seems like it's like he's just throwing punches, right? And you would be mistaken to think that, because he's looking at what your reactions, and the next spurt that he has is going to be something different that's going to catch you. For example, he's going to throw jab, 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 2, jab, 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 2, right? Depending on your reaction, the second one is not going to be a jab. It's going to be a jab and then hook. That's how he caught Berlanga. So we're like jab, jab. Oh, he keeps catching the jab, jab, jab. Okay, guess what? Now it's going to be jab, down, hook. And he drops it on purpose, so you think that he's going to go to the gut. But then he comes around to the top and hits you with a hook. That's basically what he's doing with his spurts. And that's why he fights in spurts. People think that it's because he's getting tired. And part of it does have to do with his energy management, because he doesn't want to drain himself, because he knows that he has a lot of body mass, that every one of his punches takes a lot of energy. And because of this, Canelo knows how to fight in spurts so that he'll be able to last the 12 rounds. Having said that, that's not the only reason. The other reason is because he's building upon your reactions within each spurt. Now the key is this. The key to beating Canelo is this: finding out when he does the spurts, when he's gonna rest, and doing the opposite of that. That is how Mayweather beat him. That is how Bebo beat him, is by figuring out, okay, right now he's gonna want to rest, so that's when I'm gonna jump on him and hit him with a flurry, and then back up. Why? Because he's gonna want to counter me, so I'm gonna back up. Okay, and then look at him. He comes after me, jab, jab, jab. Comes after me, jab, jab, jab. Okay, now after those 2 jabs, he's going to want to find a spot in the ring where he's going to go for a spurt. Find that favorite spot and hug him or tie him up or move out of the way. Okay? That's what you got to do. You got to time the spurts and weather the storm of those spurts. And then when he feels like he wants to rest, that's when you jump on him. And that's basically how you beat him. Now it's easier said than done, because you have to be in there to find his tails. And don't get me wrong. Like, you're not going to beat him by finding his tails of when he punches. You got to beat him of finding the tails of when he wants to start the spurt. It's hard to explain, but if you wait for him to throw the punch, you're falling into his trap, because he's giving you a fake tail, right? That's why he throws wide shots. People think that he throws wide shots and that's technically incorrect. Not the way he's throwing them. The way he's throwing them is he's showing you something he wants you to see, so that you make the wrong decision in blocking up instead of down, or blocking down instead of up, or catching a jab instead of catching a hook that's coming around. That's a mistake. If you get into that game plan with him, you're going to lose the fight. You're going to lose the fight. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose the fight because you're not fast enough. Canelo is extremely fast, dude. And the reason he's throwing wide shots like that is because he wants you to think. And he wants to give you time to think, so that you'll make a mistake and he'll catch you with a good shot. So that's not what I mean. I'm not telling you to find the tell of when he throws a shot, because by that time it's too late. I'm telling you to find the tell of when he wants to throw a spurt, which is a little bit more difficult, which requires like really observing the fighter and finding out where he wants to pick his spots. And you could do that by looking at film, or you could do it in the ring. It's just up to Terrence Crawford if he's going to be able to do that. It takes a very special type of fighter to even know how to read modes like that, and that's what I call it. Call it modes, or call it attitudes. Every fighter has it. Every fighter has attitude that they put into their fighting style, and you see it. It's like when they're getting into their comfort zone, they get into their groove, they start doing certain things. You got to nip that right at the beginning when you see it, and you got to move away from your opponent when he feels like, or rush him when he feels like he wants to rest. And if you find those tells, that's even better than fighting tells, telegraphs when you throw punches, because by that time it's too late, guys. Like, a lot of people focus on that. Like, you'll see guys like Michael J. White talk about non-telegraph punches, which is important, but it's not that important, because I'll telegraph a punch all day, but sometimes I know I'm so fast that it doesn't even matter. You're not going to be able to block it. And even if you think you are, I'm going to switch it up and throw a hook around that jab, around your block. So it doesn't matter. I could tell you what I'm going to do all day and still hit you. But if I'm able to tell your modes and know when you're getting in your groove and you think you're going to start comboing, and I nip that before it even starts, then I'm 9 steps ahead of you. It's similar to like when you look at a dog, right? If you try to stop the dog when he's rushing to another dog to attack him, you're already too late. You have to calculate their aggressions when they're going to start. And sometimes the way you do that is by looking at, seeing another dog coming into the room or into the play area or whatever, and you look at your dog that's already looking at him. And then you touch him and you say, hey, don't even think about it. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the tells that you need. The don't even think about it tells. And that's how you beat Canelo. It ain't no, oh, I saw a tell that he's going to punch me. Nope, it's too late. By that time, it's too late. And if you have that ability as a boxer, you're already ahead of most boxers out there. But we're just gonna have to see if Terrence is one of those guys. You know.